the business podcast that doesn't stop till you get enough with our daily 10-minute business lessons for the real world. I'm your host, your coach, your teacher, Omar Zenhom. I'm also the co-founder of the $100 MBA, a complete business training and community online. And today's episode, you will learn the 4 steps to becoming a well-read entrepreneur. I don't know any really successful entrepreneurs that don't read. Reading is a habit that successful people have. So if you want to be successful, reading needs to become one of your regular habits. And I'm going to show you today 4 steps to become a regular reader, a well-read reader. And this is something that's tried and true, something that we have implemented, Nicole and I. And I'm going to share it with you, our formula, so you could do the same. Don't worry, it's low pressure, it's fun, you're going to enjoy it. Let's get into it, guys. Let's get down to business. Today's episode of the $100 MBA Show is sponsored by Relay Rides. Do you own a car? Then you know how expensive it is. From a recent AAA study, your car costs $9,000 a year. Ouch. But what if your car paid you instead? Enter Relay Rides. Relay Rides is a peer-to-peer car rental company. Rent out your car on Relay Rides and you can earn as much as $1,000 per month. Talk about passive income. And Relay Rides pre-screens each renter and offers $1 million in insurance. And as a special offer to $100 MBA listeners, you can earn an extra $100 when you sign up today for free at relayrides.com/MBA. That's relayrides with an S.com/MBA. So we all know reading is important. It's important for us to expand our minds, to get new ideas, to see things differently, to be up to date on what works and what doesn't. But how do you make time for it? How do you make sure that you're always reading? This is what this lesson's all about. Reading is so important. It's so important we incorporated a segment on the show called Must Reads. In our Must Reads, we share our favorite books that we recommend that you should read. We had one yesterday. It was actually on the book The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And in this lesson, we're going to talk about how to create the habit of becoming a well-read entrepreneur. Now, there are a few principles I'm going to cover, and there are 4 steps. And this whole process is something that's tried and true. Nicole and I do this every single day, and it really works. And it's a very low commitment, and it's not really that hard. And before you know, you're reading a lot more than you used to. Let me get into it. Let me first address the major principles. The first principle is this is low pressure. The whole point of this is that you're reading. That's the point. As long as you're reading, you're fine. There's no pressure on how much you should read, how many pages, how many books you get through. Don't worry about that. Focus on the consistency, focus on the practice, the habit of reading and going through these steps. The other principle is consistency. This is what makes it work, staying consistent. So in today's lesson, I'm going to show you some great tactics to show you how you can stay consistent. And lastly, the last principle is enjoy yourself. This is supposed to be fun. Don't worry if you don't understand every single concept that you read. Don't worry about all the little details. Just have fun with it. And enjoy the fact that you're building this great habit of becoming a better reader and a more consistent reader. All right, let's get into the 4 steps. Step 1, I want you to make a list of books that you want to read. It doesn't have to be a huge list. It could be like 10 books or even 5 books. You may have heard of some books that I mentioned here on the $100 MBA Show, either on must-read episodes or other episodes. Or maybe some books that you've been meaning to read for some time. So list these books in the order you want to read them. Again, no pressure here. There's no right or wrong answer. Even if they're not in the right order, it doesn't really matter. Just write down a list of books you want to read. Now, you want to revisit this list every month because you're going to see that you're going to start reading through this list. And you want to keep this updated. Now, the point of this is that as you finish a book, you don't want to wonder, oh, what do I read next? You should have a list there, and it's ready for you to go. And the book is ready for you, whether in physical copy or an ebook. I want to mention that this strategy is really for reading books. Yes, you can read blog posts or articles online, but this practice is really for completing books, and books are great for completing a whole concept. When you finish a book, you really understand a certain concept or a certain idea. And it's not just an introduction or a glimpse of it. So let me recap. Step 1 is to make a list of books that you want to read, 5, 10 books, and update this list every month. Make sure that you have the first few books on that list. You're always 3 or 4 books in advance. So you have these books with you, either as a paperback or an ebook. You always want to be ready for the next book. So when you finish your book, there's no doubt in your mind what you should be reading next. This is going to make sense when you go through the other steps. All right, step 2. You need to choose a time or times to read. So Nicole and I chose to read for 30 minutes during breakfast. So we wake up in the morning, we're getting our breakfast ready. As we sit down and eat breakfast, we spend 30 minutes reading while we're eating breakfast. We also include 15 minutes of reading in bed before we fall asleep. So you want to choose some time or times to read. I want to make this low pressure and low commitment because the important thing here is to stay consistent. So don't exceed 30 or 45 minutes. So 30, 45 minutes is a good sweet spot. You may want to read more, but that's up to you, but commit to those times. I'll talk about it later. If you want to read more afterwards, say for example, I'm reading at breakfast and my 30 minutes are up, I may want to read another, a few more pages. It's okay if I go to 40 minutes, not against the rules. But the point is that the minimum is 30 to 45 minutes throughout the day. So you may want to choose one time period like just breakfast, or you could split it up like we do, 30 minutes at breakfast and then 15 minutes before falling asleep. Now the key here is to choose a specific time. And I recommend you tie your reading time to something you always do, like breakfast. You always eat breakfast, so tie it to something that you don't miss. Even when you're traveling, you always eat breakfast. Or in the example of falling asleep, you're always going to fall asleep in bed, right? So always have your book by your side. So that's something you're not going to miss. You tie the habit, you tie the time with something you always do. And you could choose your time, but I recommend you choose a time where you're doing something every single day. So you might be asking, how do I choose my time? We chose breakfast because I take a while to wake up. I'm a slow riser. So I need some time to just kind of process. I read a book, makes sense for us, and it's kind of like low impact. We're not really talking. We're just kind of reading. And later on, we just maybe have a discussion. But the point is that just works for me. And Nicole likes it too. In addition to that, we actually got the idea from a good friend, Noah Kagan. He was interviewed by Tim Ferriss on Tim Ferriss's podcast. And he mentions he does this practice. And we said, hey, this sounds pretty cool. Let's pick it up. So we picked up this practice and we've enjoyed it so much. All right, step 3. Don't worry about how fast you're reading or how many pages you're reading. Just enjoy your time. Just enjoy those 30 minutes where you're just reading. You may find yourself going through 10 or 15 pages in those 30 minutes. You might find yourself going through 5 pages. Some books take longer than others because it causes you to contemplate and reflect. Don't stop yourself from reflecting. If you want to reflect on a point that you're reading, it's okay. The point is not to speed read. The point is just to allot time for reading. And again, if you want to keep reading and the 30 minutes are up, don't worry. Just keep reading until maybe you finish that page or that chapter. It's up to you. This is your habit. You don't have to confine yourself. But what you really want to do is just make sure you commit to the time and the daily practice, the consistency. So again, don't worry about how fast you're reading. The funny thing is that Nicole and I, when we started this habit, we thought, we're not reading that much. We're not going to get through much. But what we found is within a week or so, maybe 8 or 9 days sometimes, you get through a book. I mean, think about it. 8 days is 4 hours. You can read a book in 4 hours if you sat there solid for 4 hours. And the funny thing is that you're not sitting solid for 4 hours. You're taking breaks because you're doing it on a consistent basis every day. So you're reading with a fresh mind every single time. So it's interesting. You actually get through a lot of reading. You can read maybe 4 books a month. Guys, I got more on today's topic on becoming a well-read entrepreneur. But before that, I got to give love to today's sponsor, Relay Rides. Did you know your car's value depreciates 10% as soon as you drive it off the dealership lot? And by 20% after just 1 year of owning it. Cars are expensive. They lose value and cost you money every month to maintain. But what if you can turn this depreciating asset into extra cash? That's what the team at Relay Rides is trying to do. Relay Rides is a peer-to-peer car rental company, part of the sharing economy along with companies like Airbnb and Uber. Rent out your car on Relay Rides and earn as much as $1,000 per month. I mean, if your car's just sitting there and you're staying at home or you're going on vacation or you're traveling, you might as well rent it out and make some passive income. I mean, some owners earn as much as $6,000 per month. Relay Rides pre-screens each renter and provides car owners with $1 million of insurance coverage. And there's no out-of-pocket expenses to you, so you can be rest assured. And of course, you can control when your car is available for rent. Join the rapidly growing community of entrepreneurial car owners and turn your idle car into extra income. Sign up for free now at relayrides.com/MBA and avail this special offer for $100 MBA listeners. Relay Rides is going to allow you to earn an extra $100 when you sign up for free today at relayrides.com/MBA. All right, guys, we're at step 4. Just to recap real quick, step 1 was make a list of books that you want to read. Make sure you have the books ready. a few books in advance. Step 2 is to choose the time or times you want to read, maybe like 30 minutes at breakfast, 15 minutes at bed. That's what we do. And then step 3, don't worry about how fast you read or how many pages you read. Just enjoy the process and stay consistent. All right, step 4, get a buddy. Get a friend that can do this with you. It's always better to do this with somebody else because you can push each other, as well as you can discuss your books with each other. Often after Nicole and I finish breakfast and finish reading, we'll talk about what we just read. This is what I learned today in my 30 minutes of reading. What did you learn? And it's great because you get to share what you learned. And teaching is a great way to retain information. Not only do you input the information, but you output the information. You actually teach it to somebody else to say, hey, this is what I read. This is what I understood. And it really sticks in when you actually teach it. So if you can't do this with somebody you live with, or maybe your business partner, you could do it with a friend or a family member. And it doesn't have to be daily. The discussions or the meeting up doesn't have to be daily. The reading, of course, has to be daily, but meeting up with your buddy, it could be weekly if you want, or twice a week, or monthly. This is why book clubs are so popular, because people meet up together to discuss. There's a social aspect to it. But I really recommend you do this with somebody, a friend, maybe somebody you live with, your partner, because having discussions about the books you read really help you retain the information. All right, guys, I hope that helps, and I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. I really encourage you to try this out and do these 4 steps and become a regular, well-read entrepreneur. Guys, don't forget, on the weekends, we have Q&A weekends. If you want to ask a question, you can ask us by simply emailing us at contact@100mba.net. Or you can tweet at me on Twitter. My handle is BizRepublic, B-I-Z Republic. And don't forget, guys, if you want to give us some of your takeaways, what you love about the $100 MBA show, drop us an iTunes rating and review. Not only will you give us feedback, but you'll also be giving us some love, because by giving us iTunes rating and review, you help us rank better on iTunes and get more exposure to other listeners just like you. If you're on your iPhone, just click on the cover art and you'll see a link that says give us a rating and a review. Or on your computer, just go to 100mba.net/show.